Hello, BookTube, and welcome back to a series of videos in which I am reading you a book. We are reading the Gospel according to St. Matthew, and we are approaching the end game of the story. The itinerant preacher and miracle worker Jesus has been out in the countryside telling people about the kingdom of heaven and its imminence. Now he and his disciples have gone to Jerusalem, where he has begun direct confrontations with the chief priests and scribes of the temple. And they're no fans of his anyway. We've learned earlier in Matthew that they don't like him, that they've been plotting to destroy him. This antagonism between the two groups has been growing. And we are now at chapter 23, where it breaks over. It is all of chapter 23. So this is in the King James Bible, in case you or I stumble on the antique language. Then spake Jesus to the multitude and to his disciples, saying, The scribes and the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat. All therefore whatsoever they bid you observe, that observe and do. But do not ye afterward their works, for they say and do not. For they bind heavy burdens and grievous to the bone, and lay them on men's shoulders, but they themselves will not move them with one of their fingers. But all their works they do for to be seen of men. They make broad their phylacteries, and enlarge the borders of their garments, and love the uppermost rooms at feasts, and the chief seats in the synagogues, and greetings in the markets, and to be called of men Rabbi, Rabbi. But be ye not called Rabbi, for one is your master, even Christ. And all ye are brethren. And call no man your father upon the earth, for one is your Father which is in heaven. Neither be ye called masters, for one is your master, even Christ. But he that is greatest among you shall be your servant, and whomsoever shall exalt himself shall be abased, and he that shall be humble himself shall be exalted. But woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For ye shut up the kingdom of heaven against men, for ye neither go in yourselves, nor suffer ye them that are entering to go in. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For ye devour widows' houses, and for pretense make longer prayer. Therefore ye shall receive the greater damnation. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For ye encompass sea and land to make one proselyte, and when he is made, ye make him twofold more the children of hell than yourself. It just goes on. Woe unto you, blind guides, which say, Whosoever shall swear by the temple, it is nothing. But whosoever shall swear by the gold of the temple, he is a debtor. Ye fools and blind, for whether is greater, the gold or the temple that sanctifieth the gold? And whosoever shall swear by the altar, it is nothing. But whosoever sweareth by the gift that is upon it, he is guilty. Ye fools and blind, for whether is the greater, the gift or the altar that sanctifieth the gift? Whoso shall swear by the altar, sweareth by it, and by all things thereon. And whoso shall swear by the temple, sweareth by it, and by him that dwelleth therein. And he that shall swear by heaven sweareth by the throne of God, and by him that sitteth on the throne. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For ye pay tithe of mint and anise and cumin, and have omitted the weightier matters of the law, judgment, mercy, and faith. These ye ought to have done, and not to leave the other undone. Ye blind guides, which strain at a gnat and swallow a camel. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For ye make clean the outside of the cup and the platter, but within are full of extortion and excess. Thou blind Pharisee, cleanse first that which is within the cup and platter, that the outside of them may be clean also. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For ye are like unto whited sepulchres, which indeed appear beautiful outward, but are within full of dead men's bones and of all uncleanliness. Even so ye outwardly appear righteous unto men, but within ye are full of hypocrisy and iniquity. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! Because ye build the tombs of the prophets, and garnish the sepulchres of the righteous, and say, If we had been in the days of our fathers, we would not have been partakers with them in the blood of the prophets. Wherefore ye be witnesses unto yourselves that ye are the children of them which killed the prophets. Fill ye up then the measure of your fathers. Ye serpents, ye generation of vipers, how can ye escape damnation of hell? Wherefore, behold, I send unto you prophets and wise men and scribes, and some of them ye shall kill and crucify. And some of them ye shall scourge in your synagogues, and persecute them from city to city, that upon you may come all the righteous blood shed upon the earth, from the blood of the righteous Abel, unto the blood of Zacharias, son of Barachias, whom ye slew between the temple and the altar. Verily I say unto you, all these things shall come upon this generation. O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, thou that killest the prophets, and stonest them when they sent unto thee, how often would I have gathered thy children together, even as a hen gathereth her chickens under her wings, and ye would not. Behold, your house is left unto you desolate. For I say unto you, ye shall not see me henceforth, till ye say, Blessed is he that cometh in the name of the Lord. Okay, that is the chapter. That is all of the chapter. That is Jesus excoriating the chief priests and scribes of the temple in the temple to their faces in front of what we can only presume is a giant multitude, not just his disciples. The temple was crowded at all times. Calling them cursed. So if there had been any wiggle room, any way for either side to back up from this growing animosity in earlier chapters, that is gone now. This preacher, who has the ear of thousands and thousands of people who view him as a righteous prophet, has gone to the great temple in Jerusalem and excoriated the Pharisees to their faces with words that ring so brightly that there's no way to take them back. There's no way to consider them equivocal. These two sides are drawn. And that sets up the drama that will conclude this gospel. Now we know for sure. There is no going back from this. There is no heading back into Nazareth or Galilee unmolested, unwatched, unmonitored. Now, this has now become a fight to the death. And it's very dramatic. On a human level, it's very dramatic. It's good that the writer of the Gospel according to Matthew gives us this as a whole chapter without interspersing it with anything else. Imagine how much weaker this would be if there were miracles involved. The only question that I have is the question that I've had all along. If you're just coming to these as works of literature, not as founding documents of the faith that you have to believe in as well as read, if you're just coming to it as a story, well, it's the story of a semi-divine being. Jesus is, in this gospel, just as in Mark, he very much is not God. He very much is not the Father. They don't know the same things. Jesus refers to God as a separate person and makes explicit mention of the fact that they don't share qualities, that there are qualities they don't have in common. But nevertheless, Jesus is semi-divine. He can do all sorts of miracles. We've seen him ministered to by angels. He calls people and changes their hearts and souls. So again, my question here, I know that on one level, the writer of this gospel is conveying a human story for human satisfaction. But on the other level, I'm thinking if this story had consistent world building, this wouldn't be true. The Jesus character in this story would be able to change the hearts of the Pharisees. These Pharisees aren't Hindus. They aren't atheists. They know the law. They've been worshiping their whole lives. Presumably they would be closer to that kind of inner conversion than most of the people Jesus has been dealing with. And what is the use of all of those sayings, of him saying, I've come not to bring the righteous to repentance, but the sinners? Well, by his own indication, he thinks these are the greatest sinners of all, and yet he's calling them names. The antagonism itself strikes me as odd, but it's definitely dramatic, and that is our whole chapter for today. So we'll wrap this up, and I will be back next time as this drama approaches its climax. The same climax that we saw in Mark is now inevitable. Jesus will not leave, and the Pharisees can't let him live. So we'll see what happens. like I didn't know, but this is the most famous story in the entire world. But we're going to see what happens next time. So I'll wrap this up for now, and I will see you then. Thank you, BookTube.